Okay, so let's get to our last case. Now, you may remember this shocking video here of a man attacking a caseworker from the Department of Child Safety and streamed the entire thing on Facebook Live. It happened back in November. Officials say that the suspect, DeAndre Johnson, had an open case involving his kids. Well, now a woman who witnessed this attack and was in the building at the time, who called 911, has filed a notice of claim against the state of Arizona. She says the emotional and mental injuries have affected her to the point where she hasn't been able to return to work in that same building. Now, the woman's attorney, we should mention, is also a licensed social worker and previously worked for DCS. Hector, when we heard this, a lot of us thought that's pretty ironic that the man who was assaulted in this case wasn't the one who filed the lawsuit. It was the woman who saw it and called 911.
Right. I had to do a double take.
Yeah.
When I read this. And just to clarify, what the lawyer has submitted is what's called a notice of claim.
Yes. What exactly is that?
If you're going to sue a state agency, you have to first give them notice of your intention to file a lawsuit and that there is a specific amount of money that if they pay the aggrieved party, that lawsuit won't be filed. So it's a letter, nothing more than a letter. It has to be filed within 6 months from the date of the injury. And if you don't, you cannot later file a lawsuit. So doesn't mean that this person is in fact going to file a lawsuit. It's just giving an indication that there is some injury.
Okay, so do you think this woman has a strong case though?
Again, I have to throw out the caveat. I don't know the facts as well. I don't, but I'm really surprised that the notice of claim was even filed in this situation.
Okay.
I think what they're likely arguing, without seeing the benefit, I know it's flashing up there on the screen, without seeing the benefit of the notice of claim, they're likely arguing that this is some kind of a dangerous work environment.
Right.
That, in DCS,
not enough security.
DCS was aware of it. And so we'll have to see. We'll have to see if in fact, DCS decides to settle this via the notice of claim, or if they ultimately say, hey, file your lawsuit, and we feel confident that we don't have these issues. I think given some of the information that DCS has put out prior and around the time of this incident, I don't expect that we're going to see a settlement here.
I thought it was really interesting here that the attorney's background, she was a social worker and a former DCS employee. Do you think her background helps this case?
It could. It gives a little insight.
Right, because she understands, right?
Right. A lot of attorneys, myself included, worked, for the government when we first started our careers, and it gives you a little insight in terms of the court, in terms of how things work. And no different here. It might give her a little insight in terms of DCS. All
right. Well, we will definitely wait to hear what DCS has to say. Hector, great having you as always. Thank you so much.